All right, troops, welcome to the Action Elite. My name is Owen, and tonight I am joined by Mr. Action Flicks himself, John Jerva. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So this evening we just thought we'd change it up a bit. Normally we do a live stream on a Friday night, but some of us have plans on Friday night, so we decided, you know what, let's do it tonight. And this is just going to be just a random chat where after seeing the rather awesome Copshop the other day, we're not going to go into like any great detail about that because it's just we don't want to spoil it. But we thought we would just talk about some of our favorite Gerard Butler movies and some highs and maybe some possible lows. But we'll just talk about it anyway. And but I found something today regarding Copshop when I was on Instagram.
Okay.
Have you seen? Do you follow Ryan Reynolds?
Did I what?
Do you follow Ryan Reynolds?
I do. I mean, I do, but I don't think I saw what you're talking about. I mean, I've been working.
Well, apparently, like Gerard Butler, like doesn't know what Free Guy is or whatever, and this is just sort of, it was like a good-natured sort of banter thing, and he's like, I don't watch Ryan Reynolds movies, right? But
I heard that. Yeah. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. I heard him say that. Yeah.
But then I saw this, right? Joe Carnahan tags Gerard Butler. Free Guy notwithstanding, you may recognize Van City Reynolds as a talented actor who successfully promotes his movies. So that seems like a little bit of snark there.
Yeah.
A little bit of. I don't know if they didn't really get on well during filming or something, but it sounds like Gerard Butler has not sort of taken part in the promotion for Copshop in any way, because that's some passive aggressive shit right there from Joe.
Yeah. Well, Frank Grillo, he took it down since, because I was trying to find it again, but he was complaining about his role in the movie, and I was like, I mean, if he wasn't happy with it, I was. I'm like, I thought he was great in it. So I want to see what was left out or what was cut or trimmed or whatever happened. But he made it with his buddy Joe Carnahan. So it's like, unless something happened behind the scenes that even Joe couldn't deal with. I have no idea.
It sounds like studio fuckery, I think, to me.
I think so. I think that. Once again, studio execs who have no idea what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah, it wasn't Warner Brothers, was it?
No, this was Open Road.
Open Road,
it's more independent label, I think, not a big one. Yeah, so I was curious. I put that in my review too, and I'm like, I thought he was great. I mean, both of them, it was different roles because you're used to seeing like Frank Grillo is always like the tough guy, either bad tough guy or good tough guy. Here he was kind of like a weasel, He kind of was like at the end, but it was different for him. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna give anything away. But it's the same thing with Gerard Butler, So I that's one of the things I liked about it. So
yeah, solid movie, and I mean, for God's sake, it opens with the opening theme to Magnum Force. So what's not to love right there? I was in the theater and I was like, "It's Magnum Force," and I was like, "Oh, wait, there's nobody else here."
My wife's like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Never mind, don't worry about it." It's
whatever. Okay. Here's J-Man here. I won't be able to watch, but my faves are 300, 300, and 300. I saw it 3 times in theater at Law. I think actually, Jay, maybe I saw it in the theater with you. I can't remember. That might have been one of the first times I actually met him. I can't remember if I saw it with him or what is that? Was that 2009 300? Is that?
I think so. Like around there, but like
2006 300 is that? Yeah, 2006.
God, it's been that long. Holy crap!
Yeah,
yep, you're right. 2006. Yeah.
Do you remember seeing him?
Go ahead. Yep.
I was about to say, do you remember seeing him in that wee scene in Tomorrow Never Dies? And he's in like that. I think it's like towards the beginning when the ship is being sunk.
Yes.
I remember when last I watched it, I was like, "Oh, there's Gerard Butler there," because I remember he was like considered for Bond at some point, and she probably would have been all right when he was younger, but I think I prefer him as Mike Banning. I think that was a far more interesting choice because this actually breaks my heart to say this, but after No Time to Die, I don't think we should make another Bond film.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's nothing they can really do with the character anymore. They've kind of had to neuter him down from who he was from the books and the early movies or whatever. You're not allowed to have Bond girls anymore. And there's no sharks with lasers on them or volcano layers and things like that. And I was like, Austin Powers ruined James Bond. Remember Daniel Craig said that himself.
Yeah.
But
the whole turning around with the cat, it's like totally like
it's totally ruined.
It's like, now all people think of is Mike Myers doing it. It's like that's so wrong. It's like that's not the way it should be.
Yeah. Jimmy, great topic. Gerard Butler is one of my favorite modern action stars. Copshop was solid, old school action. Agreed. It just felt like some 70s movie, like Assault on Precinct 13 or something like that. So it was good. So if you're out there and you're looking for some R-rated action to support, go see Copshop, seeing as nobody else seems to be supporting it right now.
I went to see it with my wife on Sunday. I didn't get to see it till Sunday, so I did my review Sunday night. But it was me and another couple. That was it. There's 4 of us in the whole theater.
In fairness, there actually was other people in the theater when we were there. So I think like 4 or 5 other people. And it's funny, there was some guy behind us and he was eating noisy candy and I was like, oh, I haven't missed it. And he sort of would talk occasionally and I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, and then I was like, no, Owen, be calm.
Here's the problem with movies. These are niche movies though. I mean, even if there wasn't a pandemic, it'd be hard to get butts in the seat for this type of movie. Plus it's a hard R-rated movie. So, and then there's no advertising. At least I didn't, aside from when trailers are released on the internet, I don't see any advertising. Of course, I don't have cable. I stream everything, but I don't see like what TV spots were. But nobody knows about this movie. Plus, it was playing once in my theater that day. It was playing at 11:35, and that was it. I'm like, that's the only choice I got to go see this movie. So it's like ridiculous. It's unfortunate.
It is. Because it's really entertaining. I've heard mixed reviews for it, but it's actually my top 5 of the year. I've really had a good time with it. So
I did. Oh yeah, it's explosive.
Jimmy, only 5 in the theater, including me and my brother. That's right. It was me and my brother. Hey, wait, Jimmy, were you the guy in the theater?
Yeah, were you the other ones?
Were you the guy with the noisy candy? But I love the old school vibe soundtrack. I love the no cell phones or social media is used like so many music. Yeah, just sort of. Yeah, I never noticed that there's not really modern. And also, I love the isolation. I love anything that takes place in a desert. I have like a desert fetish.
Which was smart because they filmed it during the pandemic. So when we have like so many, the only scene where there was a lot of people was at the beginning. Where with the brawl that was going on outside. That Frank Grillo comes up upon. That. But other than that, there's like 6 people in the whole movie. So. I like that too because then it's like it's you don't have a lot of people to pay attention to. And Alexis Louder, she was just freaking awesome in the movie. How awesome was she is?
Yeah, I mean, my God. She's one of my favorite characters of the year as well because she was badass, but she was believable at the same time, and you liked her. She wasn't like talking down to the men or whatever, like so many sort of movies do these days. Like, no, she's actually a great character, great actress, or actor, or whatever you want to say. And she was fantastic. So yeah, Copshop was awesome. So you should definitely see that. But we're going to go way back to the beginning. And although we only had a small role in it, it was still pivotal enough. And I have a soft spot for 2002's Reign of Fire. With Matthew McConaughey and Christian Bale. I mean, Matthew McConaughey has never been more buff and badass than he is in that movie with like a shaven head and the axe and everything.
He freaking jumped into the mouth of a dragon. It's freaking awesome. He's just like, fuck it.
I mean, Jared doesn't get much in the way of action. It's very much, Christian and Matthew's story. But yeah, he has a few good moments in it, and it's just a fun ride. I mean, I always remember thinking whenever the posters first came out, like helicopters fighting dragons over London, whatever, and then you never actually get to see that in the movie, and it just ends up being you see it in like newspaper clippings or whatever, because they didn't have the budget to do set pieces like that, unfortunately. But but the dragons looked awesome, and like even now I watched it recently, and the effects are still really good, and it's some of my favorite dragons I've ever seen in a movie. Absolutely.
And like and Christian Bale and Matthew McConaughey work great together. I mean, because this, Christian Bale this is one of his earlier movies too. Matthew McConaughey was kind of more established too, right, when this movie came out still though, because he was doing all the rom-coms and stuff like that around the same time.
I think he wanted to sort of man up a bit and get away from the rom-coms of it.
I'm going to the gym, goddammit. That's not going to work out.
So yeah, Reign of Fire is a good one. And then I always like him in Tomb Raider Cradle of Life, where he's kind of like a Han Solo sort of character where you're like, is this guy good or bad or whatever?
But I got pissed off because like he was so cool and badass, but then
they ruined him. Yeah.
Then we all know what happens. It's like, what? It's like, God damn it. It's like, I was like, and then, she does what she does. And I was like, I was kind of bummed. Because I was digging his character.
I know. And the thing was, in the original ending, he lives. I
didn't know that.
There's a deleted ending, on the DVD. I watched the movies like a few months ago just to rewatch them, and in the original ending, he didn't die, and to me, that was a better ending. And I was like, I didn't want him to die because I loved him as a character, and like I was involved with him. And they should have just had him, disappear because he was like this lovable rogue Han Solo type who just goes off and does his own thing at the end. But I thought that was definitely a shame that they did that because you liked the character, and and then that sort of bait and switch. You're like, oh, okay, I don't actually like that you did that.
They wanted to be twisty with it. I get it. That's understandable. But they could have handled that differently. Well, obviously they did, and they went the other way with it. So
Dracula 2000. Yeah, I saw that in the theater. Actually, I remember that.
I saw that when it came out on home video. I wasn't big into horror, so I watched it.
Well, as anyone who's watched me on Preston Downey's show, growing up, I was actually more a horror guy. Like, pretty much my favorite movie of all time is Halloween. So it was like, I guess, so growing up, I was always more, a horror guy. I did action, obviously, but I always have enjoyed the horror genre. But 2006 was when Gerard was properly introduced onto the scene with 300, Zack Snyder's 300, which to this day is still Zack Snyder's best movie for me. I love it. The amazing visuals, the music, and then this is Sparta. Oh. You have to have my accent to be able to say it. Because he's a fellow Scot, and nobody shouts like we do. So so many like quotable lines like that, and then great violence. Love 300. Definitely. Where would say? I'm going to say that 300 is my number 2 of the Butler films.
Okay.
So once we've gone through them all, we'll rank them. Yeah. We'll do top 5, just 5. Yeah.
Well, 300 besides the Has Fallen movies, because obviously that's a franchise now, but 300 is the one he's known for, and like when everybody talks about Gerard Butler, it's 300. It's like because he was him and everybody else. They were just. One, they were incredibly in shape. Holy cow! How many 6-packs did you have in that movie? Jesus Christ! And then just like how they all die spectacularly, and it's just epic. And then the way it was shot, like you said, it was probably Zack Snyder's best film. And then the way he shot it, with this, because we always complain about CGI, but here it was cool.
And that didn't bother me. Yeah.
No, but then obviously once that came out, then everybody and their mother wanted to duplicate it. It was just like, here we go. We talk about John Wick and how everybody emulates John Wick, because it's popular. That was the same thing with this one. And it was like, stop it. And then they even made a sequel to it, which starred Sullivan Stapleton, who I love from Strike Back. But I'm like, it's not Gerard Butler. I'm sorry. I'm like, no offense to Sullivan Stapleton, but I was just like, it was just more of the same.
Yeah, I still kind of enjoyed it though when you get Eva Green naked for like 10 minutes. So sick.
Yeah, she has no problem doing
it. No, exactly. Tonight we dine in hell. Yes. And Law-Abiding Citizen when I first. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. We're nearly at Law-Abiding Citizen. 2008 was Rock and Rolla, which it's not really an action movie. It's more of a thriller, and it's with Tom Hardy. That was not a bad movie, if I remember correctly.
It's a gangster movie. Yeah, I mean, like it was kind of like the Snatch kind of thing going on, and like he was cool in it. So
yeah, it's fun sort of caper.
I've only seen that once though. Sorry, I've only seen that once though. I haven't gone back to that one.
Same here. So, I have it on DVD. I watched it once and quite enjoyed it, and I can't really remember that much about it. I just remember it. I remember enjoying it, and that was the thing. Yeah. Now in 2009. He did a movie which didn't get great reviews, but I loved it. Gamer.
Not only do I have it on Blu-ray, they came out with a 3D version, and I have that too. Yes, I got this at Walmart. So yes, yeah. So I actually have more Gerard Butler movies, but those are the ones I could find. Because like I said, I worked tonight and I got home and I'm like trying to find them. I had 300 somewhere too, but I'm like I can't find it. So,
I know. I was like, oh, whatever. As long as we show up on time, that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the thing. But Gamer was cool though because I think it was from the guys behind Crank. So it had that same kind of almost energy. Yeah, Neville Dean and Taylor, and it had this sort of crazed energy to it. And I always remember it was really unsettling. We have the big fat, greasy, sweaty guy.
Oh, that was and he's eating the pancake and the syrup and everything, and he just shows his mouth, and he just makes you want to vomit.
I think Gamer was maybe the first or second Sue Me blog I ever did on the site, the Action Elite.
Why is it Sue Me though? That movie's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, but it didn't get great reviews, I don't think, and I think it wasn't like a big box office hit. But
who gives a shit?
Yeah, but I liked it. Yeah, I thought it was awesome.
Well, here's the thing about Gamer, like the freaking movie, the scene that it opened with. Once again, I've talked about this in the past. Is a lot of scenes that other movies would have at the end. But here it's at the beginning, and it just freaking blew up in your face right from the get-go, and he's running around. It was just, and even the weapons were cool. All the weapons were cool and everything. And, you had Keith, the Dynamine Jardine, the MMA guy. He had the big freaking gun. It's like, I saw it in the theater. I'm like, this is the greatest movie ever. And I think Gerard Butler looks, besides 300, I mean, he looked fantastic in it.
Oh, he was jacked in this.
Yeah. He was jacked up action hero all the way, and it was. And Michael C. Hall, who plays Dexter, he was freaking awesome in it. I mean, he was just hysterical. Oh, and creepy, And it's like, but he was awesome. And Kara Sedgwick was John Leguizamo. I mean, you had this ludicrous, all these great people in the movie. So.
I need to watch it again. I'm meant to watch it again now. It's been a few years.
I watched it last. I watched it actually because I watched it this morning before I went to work because I'm like I haven't seen this in a while.
Yeah,
underrated is an understatement. Gem.
Game was weird, but it is weird. But I definitely do enjoy it. Weird's good. Weird is never a bad thing. And no. His other 2009 movie, Law Abiding Citizen, that's one of his best movies for me. It's. I remember it's rough as fuck. I remember seeing it in the theater. I was like, who am I supposed to root for in this movie? Because I remember I didn't like Jamie Foxx's character because I'm sorry, I don't like Jamie Foxx. I think he just mumbles a lot, and I'm not a big fan of him. But then, like Gerard Butler is almost becomes a psychopath after his family is killed, which is fair enough. But
he goes off the deep end, big time.
Then there's it's almost like some torture porn in it, whatever. Whenever he's torturing that guy, and whatever, it's really brutal stuff. But it's good. It's a good, satisfying revenge tale. Sorry, the battery is just gone on my hearing aid, so I was like, oh, it's just gone. So my hearing will be a little off. But Law Abiding Citizen was a good one. What do you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was his character, you said it exactly. It's I kind of rooted. I was because what would you do? Nobody knows what they would do in that situation. If your family's ripped away from you, it's would you be like him or would you go the other way? And it's and because I have, not to say anything against people who don't have families, but, every time I watch those type of movies, it's if anybody did anything to my wife and my little girls, I would freaking probably go ape shit on him. So I could totally relate to him. And what, is that a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, I'll get judged for in the gates of heaven or hell. So it's I was all for him in that movie. Yeah, I liked him in that movie. And like I said, Jamie Foxx too, it's he's hit or miss, Probably the best movie I like out of Jamie Foxx is Sleepless, although that didn't get a lot of good reviews. But when I watched it, it was a good action movie.
I liked it.
But yeah, I was totally on board with Gerard Butler and Law Abiding Citizen. Though. I was like, I don't care what I'll say it.
Yeah, too bad the gamer director's next movie was Ghost Rider 2. I think, did that kill their career? Because they never directed anything.
Yeah, they haven't. Really. I think that might have. Although Ghost Rider 2 was kind of like more towards the comic book than the first one was. If you're gonna debate against that, but that's how I felt. I thought I actually liked the second one better than the first one. But
yeah, I think it was better. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing one. Coriolanus. Yeah. I've never watched it because wasn't it like a Shakespeare or something?
They were talking like they were doing this Shakespeare, and it's like it's hard to watch. I get it. I knew what they were trying to do with it, but yeah, I saw that once, and I haven't gone back to it. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, good timing, Jimmy, because he's just said. Yeah, Machine Gun Preacher is another one I liked. Underrated for sure. Good story and drama. Right, I got to put my hand up. I have not seen this one of all those movies. That's the only one I have not seen.
That's fine.
So I'm going to go over to John, and you can talk about Machine Gun Preacher.
I've actually seen it twice. Like I said, I saw it once in the theater, and then I saw it last night because, like I said, my wife and I told her I was doing the show on Gerard Butler, and I'm like, what do you want to watch? And I thought she was going to go for one of the Has Fallen movies, but she's like, we've seen those. I'm like, okay. And then she's like, how about Machine Gun Preacher? I'm like, it's depressing. So it's based on the life of Sam Childers. He was a nasty, badass biker, and he gets out of jail, and he finds God, and then a preacher comes to his church one day and talks about the children in the Sudan, and it's just a hard movie to watch. So he goes there and he makes it his mission to help out these children, these orphans and everything. He builds an orphanage and a school and everything. But it's a hard movie to watch. And it's not an action movie per se. It's more like I was saying, off the air, it's more of a drama, but there is action in it, and he does get a chance to do some Gerard Butler stuff in it. There's some cool moments into it, but like I said, it's not a nice movie, and it's based on the true. So it's like, and then at the end when the credits are going, you see the real people and everything. But it's probably in one of my top 5 Gerard Butler movies, just because he's phenomenal in it. You got to watch it. You got to check it out sometime. It's hard to watch. To see it. You'll like it. I think you'll like it.
Not an action movie. I love Butler and rom-com, The Ugly Truth. I have never seen it.
My wife, I tell her, my wife says, like, make sure you tell him my favorite Gerard Butler movie is P.S. I Love You. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So,
that's actually a good movie. I have seen that one. I do kind of like that.
I'll tell him he said it. I'll be like, he likes it.
It's one of those forgotten under the radar movies. Definitely one of an action drama, but worth a watch for fans. I think. Okay, I will check it out then at some point.
Yeah, but like I said, it's not an easy watch. There's a lot of hard parts in it, and you're just like. I'm not going to spoil anything, but like the ending is the ending, and it's just like, okay, it's like life sucks basically. So
yeah, I'm not going to rush to watch it because I've watched so many grim and violent movies over the past week. So like, I need to watch some Disney movies or something.
Like I said, I hadn't seen it since I saw it in the theater when it came out. So I'm watching it last night, and I'm like, oh my god! I'm like, I'm depressed. It's like, but it's got some hopefulness to it. I mean, like his character arc is good and everything. How he goes from a sleazeball to this righteous man. He makes it his life's mission to help these kids, and it's an awesome movie. It's a really good movie, and not in terms from the action standpoint, which like I said, it's punctuated by some scenes of action, but it's just I think it's one of his best performances.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll check it out. So Wolverine says he wasn't a fan of Machine Gun Preacher. There you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So then in 2013 came Olympus Has Fallen. Mike Banning, the best action movie character of the 2000s, I think, because it's funny. Somebody asked, was it Jimmy or was it Ron or somebody? Somebody asked a few weeks ago, and they said, "What do you think is the best?" No, actually, it was Brennan. I think Brennan asked, "What's the most 80s like action movie to come out in recent times?" The Has Fallen trilogy. They're old school, the Die Hard type movies, and I think those are sort of the most like the 80s, 90s style movie when everyone was doing, the Die Hard clones. And Olympus Has Fallen is my favorite of the Has Fallen movies. And it kicks the ass out of White House Down, which was terrible. It's funny how similar stories for the two movies, but one's a piece of shit and one wasn't. Hold on.
No problem. But yeah, I've always said that. Oh, go ahead. Continue.
No, I was just going to say, Olympus Has Fallen. I love it. Yes, and this is one time where I'm going to bitch about the CG, and that's been the thing that lets down all three of these movies is the CG and some of the action scenes. And we're like, these would be perfect action movies if you didn't have the shitty CG, particularly in this one. That's really noticeable. But the scene, even though like some of the effects are questionable, I still love the scene with the assault on Washington with the plane and everything, and just destroying everything. And you've got Rick Yune as the villain, isn't he? And he's a hateful bastard. This movie, it was like, it's once again, this is another one of those movies which has some really sort of jarring scenes. You remember the scene where they're beating up the woman? She's like a secretary or something, and like kicking the shit out of her. Secretary or something, and they're like beating the shit over, and that was a really tough movie, tough scene to get through. But he's like Gerard Butler though, like Mike Banning is in full John McClane mode because it's like, let's play a game. It's called "Fuck Off." You go first. So that's my favorite line of the movie. Over to you.
Go ahead. Okay. So you said it exactly. Every article that I've written about these movies, he's this generation's John McClane, and I've taken some heat about that. They're like, "Oh, John McClane." I'm like, I'm not saying he's better than John McClane. I'm saying he is this generation's John McClane. Mike Banning is, and how can you argue? I mean, he's got the one-liners. Yeah. He's got the no shit attitude. He fucks people up, and he's like John Wick. He shoots everybody in the freaking head, like, and especially Olympus Has Fallen. Yep. He's blasted everybody in the head. And I think Olympus Has Fallen has the best bad guy because Rick Yune, he's the most formidable bad guy.
Yes,
because he gets to fight with them. But like in the second one, not so. There wasn't a main bad guy like Rick Yune. There's a lot of badass guys that he takes on, and then in the third one, it's his friend who's like kind of older, But yeah, Rick Yune is like the most formidable opponent in all three movies so far. And their fight at the end is pretty cool, and how he kills them, because he says how he's gonna kill him, and then sure enough, the knife goes through the head. So it's like how can you not love this movie? It's like if you're an action fan. I mean, like I said, the CG is suspect, but it's got some hard R-rated action, and he's this, like I said before, 300. Now these are the movies he's getting. This is his franchise, and I just hope he didn't frick it up because, like, wasn't he suing like the company for Angel Has Fallen or something? So now it's kind of like I'm a little concerned seeing that comment from Joe Carnahan earlier, and I was like, is Jerry getting an ego? And I'm wondering if he's becoming, a bit of a diva or whatever, because like I've heard about him suing or whatever else, and then if he's not promoting the movie or whatever, it's like, don't do that. You're not allowed to do that. You're Scott. We don't get egos. So I hope he just stays being cool. Yes, please. We need that. Like I said, we were just talking about how there's not, like, how people say there's no real action heroes like there were back in the day. He's one of them. He can hold his own to Stallone. I mean, obviously nobody's as big as Arnold Schwarzenegger was, but he's an action star. So how can he? So there's a legit one right there, like Statham. It's like these guys. There are guys that are doing it like they did in the past. It's just like for some reason, it's like everybody just kind of like gravitates towards the 80s, and it's like, there was, that was a different time, But these guys are just as stellar as back. I think so. I mean, especially Gerard Butler. Regardless of whatever's happening in real life, he freaking owns action movies right now. So,
and the Has Fallen trilogy to me are better than the last two Die Hard movies. Like to me, John McClane died. Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's the end of Die Hard. The other two with bald Bruce Willis, I don't know what the fuck they are, but they're not Die Hard movies, so I never watched them. I have no time for them at all.
Absolutely.
So, a couple of comments here. So, Die Hard in the White House. Yep. It gave me joy to see Olympus Has Fallen bitch slap White House down. Agreed. Yeah. What the hell's the hashtag? Speak English. Love that part. Yeah. That was a good part.
Yeah.
So 2016 also had Gods of Egypt, which was generally dumped on by everyone in the entire world. I remember going to see it. And it's one of these movies where, I know it's not a great movie, but it's a fun Saturday matinee movie. You know, I'll watch it, eat some popcorn or whatever. And it's like an old school movie like Clash of the Titans or something like that. And I love movies like that. It's sort of fun escapism. Right. And yet, I have never watched it since. I watched it once in the theater. I never bought it or anything else. But in this one, at least, Gerard's the bad guy, which is quite cool. He made for a decent villain.
Yes.
But once again, the shitty visual effects were awful, and which was a shame because there's some cool imaginative ideas in it, and like the visual ideas were there, but it just didn't look particularly convincing.
Which is sad because that's what this movie's made of. That was its strength, was the effects, you know. So it's like if you're making a movie like this, you gotta that's got to be your focus. Besides performances, but it's like it's got to be your focus is to have really cool ass visual effects, you know. And when stuff gives it, you know, when it drags it down, it's not a good thing, you know. But like I said, he was a bad guy, you know, and he plays mostly good guys, you know. So it was kind of cool to see him, you know, play the villain, you know. But again, like you, I've only seen it once. Yeah. It's one time, never revisited it. So you know,
yeah. I mean, technically he's a villain in Law-Abiding Citizen because he's sort of lost his mind there. I mean, he's sort of a villain and hero, a sort of mixture of the two.
Okay, if you're going to look at it cut and dry, yes, but there's a gray area. Like I was saying before, it's like, is he? Yeah, probably in the eyes of society, yes, but I was rooting for, you know, like I said, so it's like God struck me down.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he's killing lawyers, you know.
Even.
Dwayne Johnson, what could have been? Yeah, oh, God, yeah, what a waste. Gods of Egypt is the epitome of dumb fun. Yeah, it totally is. You know, I will watch it again at some point. I keep seeing it I used to pop up on Netflix, and I was like, oh, will I watch it? And then, you know, I never do.
Well, yeah, that's because go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, on you go. I was done.
Oh, okay, you're done. Okay, so yeah, but like I say, like with my wife, because she's on this Gerard Butler kick. So yeah, so I'm gonna go back and watch these movies, you know, because and like I said, I was going through his filmography, and there's so many of them, and like there's a lot of non-action ones. I'm like, oh my god, it's like there's a lot to choose from. It's like I felt kind of bad because I thought I was a big Gerard Butler fan, and I've only really seen his action movie. Well, besides the comedies, like I've seen Bounty Hunter with Jennifer Aniston, you know, because, you know, you date day, you go out and see those type of movies, you know, but there's a lot, you know, like there's the one called The Vanishing or something. I'm like, what is this one? You know, and I'm like, I don't even know what this one is. It's like, so.
Oh, that's based on like a true story. That was from 2018. That was sort of inspired by a true story. And it's once again in Scotland. And it was about some lighthouse keepers. I think they disappeared or something. I haven't seen it myself, but it's not like an action movie. It's more like a drama horror movie.
No. Yeah. But that's what I was saying. He's done a lot.
I would like to check that out.
Yeah, he's done way more than I've given him credit for. So I apologize. It's like, you know, because like I gravitate towards his action movies, you know, but you know.
Oh, it's on Tubby. Good. I'm sorry, I know it's called Tubi, but I'm always going to call it Tubby. I don't care.
Tubby. Yeah, Tubby.
Let's watch Tubby. Yeah. The other movie in 2016, Mike Banning returns, and London Has Fallen, which a lot of people think this is the best of the trilogy. It's certainly up there, but I still prefer the first movie. This still has some great one-liners, Mike Banning kicking ass, shitty CG in the action scenes again, but it's only that one point. It's only the assault on London, and to be honest, the CG doesn't bother me so much. But because it was kind of still like 9/11 was still quite fresh, then they're not going to be blowing stuff up in the streets or whatever the way they used to be able to. So I understand why they used CG for the assault on London, but it's once again, it's still a great visceral scene. and Mike Banning is at his best, and then you got Aaron Eckhart back again, and Morgan Freeman and everything, and I really like London Has Fallen. What do you think?
This is different opinions, but I actually, this is my favorite of the three.
Yeah.
And here's why. Well, because not that I don't love the first one. I love the first one, but it's like this one, like I just like how the scope was bigger, and then the ending I think just blows the first one away. Like the Wonder scene at the end where he's on the streets with the SAS, and it's just one shot take. Awesome. I love that scene. That's like I always go towards that scene. My favorite scene. And then when he gets in the building, and he's shooting everybody in the head again, and it's like the whole ending is just. That's what cinched it for me in terms of like, if I'm gonna pick a Has Fallen movie, that's my favorite. That's why, so simple as that.
I don't even remember the villain in London Has Fallen.
He's like, well, that's because he's the older guy that,
that's right.
At the beginning, his daughter was getting married, and then they bomb it trying to get to him, and they kill his daughter instead. He's having a wedding, so he gets all pissed off, and that's why he orchestrates this elaborate plan to take everybody out. So yeah, but that's why I was saying, like Rick Yoon, and then you go to this guy, it's like nobody remembers like he was the bad guy.
Yeah,
and that's
nobody of a villain. Yeah.
That's the biggest fault with it. If you're going to go with it, that's why I was saying he doesn't have like the showdown with anybody in that movie. It's just pretty much him taking on just a bunch of guys, Mm-hmm. So in that regard, if you wanted a showdown, you're going to be disappointed because this guy isn't going to, plus he's not even there. He's like doing it from far away
of the world.
Yeah, he's not even there. So in that regards, it's not as good as the first one. But like I said, I just love the scene at the end, and I think he just gets a lot of opportunity to do what he does best, and then we'll get into the third one, and of course that one's good too.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a second. But before that, he kind of went a bit sci-fi in 2017's Geostorm, and I remember this is the one where I saw the press screening. Remember? No, it was another one. It was Angel Has Fallen, and the guy referred to Geostorm. Yeah. But the Geostorm, was it's from Dean Devlin, wasn't it? Who is normally like the writer producer of like Universal Soldier and Independence Day and all these things. So this was his like directorial debut, I believe, and it's kind of sort of a forgettable 3-star movie. But I remember it had some good smashy moments, and Butler was good in it as always. It's kind of once again. I watched it once in the theater. Don't remember much about it. I don't even know if I bought it. I think I bought it. I don't even remember. And it's just one of those movies where you just watch it and you're like, yeah, that was fun. What did I just watch?
Yeah. But it's got that whole the day after tomorrow or anything like that. It's
I love movies like that.
Yeah. So and of course, besides the Has Fallen movies, he's being known as the disaster epic guy now because, of course, we'll go into the one after that. But this is more forgettable. And like I said, I again watched it once and was like, it's okay. But Butler's the best part of it. He's the man in the movie. But other than that, it's like you can have it. I don't want it.
Yeah. But 2018. Had one of his absolute finest hours with Den of Thieves. And I love this movie. I remember I watched it the first time I watched it. I was like, yeah, that was okay. And then I watched it again, and I was like, no, this is fucking awesome. It was really, really good. I was just, I loved him. And everyone was just like badass and hard as nails in it. The action was brutal. I found it was a little long. I thought there's the scene when they're actually like doing the heist thing or whatever. I thought that went on too long, and I was sort of, went to Instagram. Starts that happening. I was like, moving along. But I thought it was still really good. Definitely one of his better films. And the sequel is currently in production and it's going to be out soon. So I'm looking forward to that. And sorry, my hearing aid totally stopped working now, so now I just can't hear anything at all out of this here. So I didn't know the batteries were that close to going. Anyway, Den of Thieves, go.
Well, here's the problem with Den of Thieves. Den of Thieves is an awesome movie, but everybody compares it to Heat. and you can't compare it to Heat. Heat's like on a different level of everything else. Like, so if you don't compare it to Heat, it's a phenomenal movie. And like I said, and the ending doesn't reach the heights of the shootout in Heat again, because everybody's like, oh, but you can't. It's like, but it's still how like they're charging through the maze of cars, and there's all these innocent bystanders, and what's also cool in the movie is because the bad guys are, which again, they're robbing banks, but they're kind of, I don't want to, are they like, because they're bad guys because they're doing bad things, but they're doing it for the right reasons,
the greater good.
So so there's a gray area there again, but then it's like, but they're all badasses because they're in the military and everything, so you got these badass soldiers, but then you got the badass cops, and I think the cop, like, definitely Gerard Butler's character is probably the worst. He's a crooked cop almost, if you think about it. So it's like, that's why it's so great, because like it's like the good guys are worse than the bad guys.
Yeah, like his character's a dick, and I love when our protagonist is a dick. This is awesome.
Like he comes home at the beginning, and his wife is, like he's cheating on her, and like he's just a total scumbag, but he's got a badge, but then again, and he's so into the job and everything, but and then like you said, then there's the director's cut, which is even longer than the original movie. So it's like, if you want to even watch the longer version, it's like you got to take potty breaks, But like you said, I had the same issue with the heist scene. It was just like, I was like, wow, this is like an hour. It's like, where are we going with this?
Yeah, come on.
But the shootout at the end, like, is great. And like I said, I love how like they just start shooting at each other, like, in between the cars and everything. And then how he finally, has the showdown with the leader of the soldiers and everything, and it's probably one of his finest hours. Again, it's high up there for me too. Yeah.
And then 2018, he did a submarine movie, Hunter Killer. This is another solid movie. It's sort of on a bit of a winning streak here, where all the movies were like really entertaining. I mean, this one, it's not a classic, but I love submarine movies, and I really enjoyed this one. Gary Oldman was in it too, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can't go wrong there. And
Common was in it too.
That's right.
It's funny seeing Common as a high level military guy. It's kind of funny. Nothing against Common, but no. Once again, it's a movie which I watched once and don't remember that much about it. I remember it being pretty solid. It wasn't a great movie. Like, it's not in my top 5, but maybe top 10. And what do you think of it? I loved it. I've seen it more than once, actually. I actually just watched it last weekend. Again, I was supposed to watch a movie I was supposed to review, and I'm like, I'm scrolling through. I'm like, oh, Hunter Killer, like, and again, Gerard Butler's solid in it, and it's hard to make a good submarine movie because, like, the type of action that submarine movies are, if you do it wrong, and then it sinks, pun intended, because it's like and they did it right, and they made it exciting, with the standoff with the other sub and everything. But I love the Navy SEAL. Put Navy SEALs in a movie and I'll show up every time. I love Navy SEALs. And I thought that scene, like them on their mission, was tense and like nail biting, and like how these guys just, there's no quit in them. And like, they know that the shit's stacked against them, but they're just like, we're going to freaking do it. And like the shootout at the end is awesome, and how these guys sacrifice themselves, and you got Gerard Butler, doing his thing on the submarine. I thought it was, was it great? No, it was not a great movie, but I thought it was pretty enjoyable.
It's like I think we gave it like 3.5 stars or something, 3.5 stars. So it's a good Saturday night pop.
I'd give it 3.5. I never reviewed it officially for the site, but I'd give it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, absolutely. If I remember correctly, I think my brother back home actually did a review for it, because sometimes if I'm not able to see a movie when it comes out or whatever, I'll get somebody else to do it or whatever. It's always very handy. So 2018 was Vanishing, which is not an action movie, so we'll skip over that. But then 2019, Mike Banning returned for Angel Has Fallen. And this time we have Nick Nolte. This time he's brought his dad. And nobody does batshit crazy better than Nick Nolte, apart from maybe Gary Busey. Imagine if they did a buddy movie now, Gary Busey and Nick Nolte in a movie together. I mean, that could be the greatest movie of all time. But just like
in our eyes, it'll be the greatest movie in our eyes. That's for sure.
But yeah, no, Angel Has Fallen was great, and this is one of my favorite action scenes of the trilogy, which is the explosions in the woods. You remember they're doing that, and there's a lot more practical action in this. I mean, there is some CG, but it's more towards the end. But this one, I thought, the action scenes were really good. I like John Huston. Is that his name? That guy plays.
I think yeah. Who plays his buddy from the military that has the contracting business? Yeah.
And I always remember whenever I watched it for the first time, and then you have him shooting the guys in the opening scene or whatever, and I was like, this reeks of a training scene. I bet this is training. I bet this isn't real. And ends up it was training. I was like, there's something you could just immediately tell. But no, this is a good one. Good action scenes. A good villain. If I were to rank the Has Fallen trilogy, I would do Olympus, Angel, and London. Would be me. But like I said, I love them all. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was more stripped down, and the only really problem I had with it was because it kind of went the route of Taken 3. You had Liam Neeson. The same thing happened to him where he got framed and accused, so it's like, let's do it again. Let's do it with Mike Banning now. It's like, but it's Mike Banning, so it's okay. And you got Morgan Freeman, who's the freaking president. Yeah, he's gold. Absolutely. I love how Nick Nolte's freaking character introduced himself to his wife. Oh, and that's the other thing. Like, they got Piper Perabo, who I like as an actress, but, having her as a different actress playing his wife.
Yeah, that was jarring. A little bit. Yeah,
it
did.
Radha Mitchell was in the first two, but now we got, so it's kind of like, that kind of took me out of it. But I love how he introduced himself because those guys are sent to kill her. They're disguised as agents, and he freaking like stabs the guy, and then she's there with her child. He's like, "Hi, I'm your father-in-law." It's like that's the best thing ever. It's like,
it is, yeah. Yeah, that was a good one too. So yeah, no, I absolutely love the Has Fallen films. So then in 2020, this one didn't get a theatrical release. I think we all watched it online. Was Greenland, and I got to be honest, I think this was a phenomenal film because it really wasn't quite what I was expecting.
No,
I was expecting a Roland Emmerich style disaster movie. And it really wasn't at all. I remember actually finding it quite a hard film to watch because it kind of it was very sort of jarring the way it just showed how mankind would behave during a disaster. Because over the past year, that's exactly how mankind has behaved. Where we've seen pretty much just the worst of people, and it just was really depressing. And it just sort of added to the film's intensity. And it's a super intense film, but I really loved the characters, and it was more a character story, and there wasn't that much smashy in it, but there was enough, and the ending was quite devastating, and I think it's the movie which I'm the most surprised about is getting a sequel. Really wasn't expecting a sequel to it.
No.
I was like, okay, that's odd, but what do you think of Greenland?
Oh, I loved it. It's like I said, it was totally like it did a 180. It's like you thought it was going to be like Armageddon, but it was like totally the opposite. It was more like a character study of what happens like to human beings when something like this happens. And again, I have kids, and like the scene where his wife, they take her child away from her and they throw her out of the car, and that helplessness, she just did that scene like to perfection. And when I was watching it, I was like, holy cow. That was like just a tense scene. And it was just like, oh my God, and then like he's trying to get to them and everything. It's just, it's a phenomenal movie. I mean, again, it's not, there's not a perfect movie out there, but I was like, again, it's like when you're given ratings, I'd give it a 4. I mean, because it is that good in terms, and plus, I said this in the past, when movies make me do a double take, and it's like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. I tend to like it a lot better. So, and this was definitely one of those types of movies. And again, Butler had his moments in it, so he had a couple. He was he was a normal guy. He wasn't badass military or anything. He was just a dad, who had a regular job and everything. That was important. That's why they wanted to save him. Because with the lottery and everything. But he still had a couple moments to be Gerard Butler in it too.
Oh yeah, and he's actually become like a better actor. He's better at sort of disguising his accent now, because I always remember when I watched Law Abiding Citizen, he just sort of sounded Scottish. Sometimes says, "It's going to be biblical." I was like, "Is it I?" And it just sounds like so Scottish in that scene. But I was like, "Attaboy, Jerry." So yeah, so that's his action movies up until Copshop, and we discussed Copshop. So J-Man has asked, did I miss any Dracula 2000 talk? J-Man, if you're there, do you want to come in and join us for the last little bit? We're going to go over our top 5. So, and I have to think about what my top 5 is. Oh my God, it's really hard. I'm just sort of looking at them and I'm like,
I wasn't ready. I'm like, oh.
I know. Okay, I'm just going to, number 5, Copshop. I really like that. Number 4, Gamer. I really like Gamer. Number 3, Den of Thieves. Number 2, 300. And number 1, the Has Fallen trilogy. I'm just saying all 3 because I love all 3. But yeah, I would say that's my top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I would stick with that.
So, okay. So with me, number 5.
Oh shit! I never had Greenland. Damn it, Greenland should be there too. It's really tough.
Well, I mean, are you going in terms of his action movies or his movies in general? Because Greenland's not an action. Movies. Okay, so it's just action movies. So if I'm gonna go like number 5, I'm probably gonna go with Copshop too. Copshop was a pretty solid movie, and like I said, I like movies where you don't know how people are or what their agendas are, and plus him and Grillo had great scenes together. I thought they worked well off of each other. And then I think I'm going to go with 300. I know it's low, but it's number. I mean, it was higher up there probably before all these other movies came out. So that's going to be number 4. Den of Thieves is number 3 because I just. Like I said, I love it, and the Heat style movie, and and I like when my good guys are like nastier than the bad guys, Number 2, I'm gonna go with the Has Fallen movies, same thing. I'm gonna wrap them all up into one movie, and then number 1 for me is Gamer. I love Gamer, and I think that's my number 1, and it's balls out, jacked up. Free for all, and like I said, I love Michael C. Hall in it, and the action is phenomenal, and it's always been my favorite Gerard Butler movie.
Good. So
I know it's the unpopular choice, but that's my opinion. That's what I'm sticking with.
But that's good. Yeah, that's good because we don't have the exact same thing. Oh, J-Man doing some work for a friend. I'm just listening to the background. I'd say 300 is my ultimate fave. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad it was something different because it's hard. I mean, like Greenland is a great movie, but yeah, it's a disaster character piece rather than an action movie. But yeah, and Reign of Fire, he's more supporting character rather than a star. So that was one of his earlier roles, and they ruined him in Tomb Raider by killing him off at the end. So how dare they? So those are my favorite Gerard Butler movies and yours. So. Can we get this under an hour? Would this be our first ever?
We're at 53 minutes.
Under an hour. Because I have said everything that I want to say. I'm looking forward because I think we have Night Has Fallen. Isn't that the next one?
Night Has Fallen. Well, tentatively, that's maybe. Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, like I said, like I was hinting at it, because there's like rumors that like he's kind of like shot himself in the foot, and we might not get any more.
I hope not.
Me neither. I love Mike Bannon. Bring Mike Bannon. Can we all just get along and make up and just be happy?
Just 10 of these movies? Yeah, because we don't get any of these movies anymore.
Well, don't you,
big action movie franchises.
Don't you remember, like when they were saying about the Has Fallen movies before the third one came out? They were saying there was going to be a TV show, and there was all this stuff that they were saying about it. But of course, the pandemic. I think the pandemic's killed a lot of
ruined a lot of things.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't. I need more Mike Bannon. Like I said, he's this generation John McClane, and as an action hero, he's phenomenal, and we need to have him team him up with John Wick. I mean,
like they're the last two action hero characters. So like the most memorable characters of the past few years are John Wick and Mike Banning in terms of like action movies. So
both Lionsgate,
Lionsgate, keeping action alive. Yeah. All right, well, I think we'll wrap it up there because I'm determined to get this under an hour.
Absolutely.
And, thank you, everybody, for watching. Thanks, J-Man, Wolverine, and Jimmy. So thank you all. Remember to like and subscribe as well, and like and subscribe to John at Action Flicks as well because he does his own thing there too. And we will be back. I know we'll be talking about doing an Exterminator 1 versus Exterminator 2, which we're going to do at some point soon. I have no idea when. It might be the next few days, probably next week. It's just trying to get everyone's schedule together because everyone's back at work now and things like that. It sucks. But anyway, thank you. And remember, you are the Action Elite.